All right, so you know how everyone is obsessed with protein right now, like obsessed? Well, I think fiber is about to be the next big thing. Seriously, I'm calling it now. Fiber is about to be the new protein. Because when it comes to weight loss, gut health, and regulating your blood sugar, the science is just undeniable. And even going off of my own personal experience, once I started eating more fiber, everything changed. My energy went up, my cravings went down, and finally, the 60 pounds that I had been carrying also started to fall off of me, all without starving myself. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 high fiber foods that I eat almost every single week, the exact foods that help me to lose the weight and feel good doing it. All right, so let's get into it. And trust me, once you see how powerful fiber is, you will never look at carbs the same way again. All right, so the first high fiber food that I eat every single week are lentils. And let me tell you, lentils are my secret weapon. Just a half a cup of lentils gives you around 8 grams of fiber, as well as giving you a ton of plant-based protein. Now, I gotta be honest in saying that I never particularly loved lentils. I also didn't hate them, but they were just not really a food that made the cut on my grocery list. But since knowing just how much fiber they pack, how much protein they pack, and how easy it is to sneak them in my diet, it is a no-brainer that I get these in my diet every single week now. I use them in soups, gravies, and even homemade protein shakes. I blend them right in there, and you can't even taste them at all. And now I know if you've never heard of blending them in shakes or tried them before, that idea might sound a little bit funky to you, and I don't blame you, but just trust me, it works like a charm. So much so that I actually have a whole recipe ebook containing recipes to make homemade, high fiber, high protein shakes using beans and lentils as the base. Shake Off the Weight 2 is my newest ebook, and that is the one that contains the recipes using lentils in the shakes. And I'm telling you, it has by far been the easiest way to get more beans and lentils in my diet. So if you're interested in giving these crazy lentil shakes a try, or you just want to check out some of the yummy flavors that I've created, then I will have the link to this book posted in my description box below. And by the way, it's on sale for only $5 for the next 48 hours only. So try to check it out while it's on sale. But anyways, moving on to the next high fiber food, and that would be potatoes. And more specifically, potatoes with the skin on and organic where and if I can. So as we know, potatoes get a really bad reputation, but when you eat them without any oil or without any butter, they can actually be one of the best foods in the world to use for weight loss. They're packed with both fiber and resistant starch, so that means that they will keep you full for hours. And potatoes were a food that I ate all the time. Like, I would guess that I was eating them about 5 to 6 times or so a week while I was actively losing the weight. And to this day, I still eat them several times a week. But if you're new to eating potatoes for weight loss, then the biggest thing to remember is to eat them without any added fat. They're actually low in calories when you don't add all that extra stuff like sour cream and cheese and meat and all those things. Potatoes alone without all that extra added stuff are actually amazing for us. But does that mean that you have to eat them just like straight out of the Instant Pot or just, straight out of the pan if you boiled some? Well, I mean, you could, and some people do, including myself. I've eaten them that way. But you can absolutely make delicious meals that are low in fat but still full of flavor and lose the weight. Like I said, I personally ate a ton of potatoes while I was actively losing 60 pounds, and I put together amazing recipes so that I didn't feel deprived, like I was just having to eat just a boiled potato with a little bit of salt on it. I didn't want to eat like that forever, so I had to figure out a way that I still felt like I was having an amazing dinner just without all the added fat. So I became borderline obsessed with coming up with some really delicious low-fat meals because I was determined to figure out a way to make them taste good without all the added fat, and I did. And as a result of that, I had to put these recipes together in the form of an ebook so that all of you could access the same low-fat recipes that were tasting amazing, but also helping me to get the weight off. And this recipe ebook of mine happens to be one of my bestsellers to date, and it is Spud Skinny. It's my all potato weight loss recipe ebook. There are 35 low-fat potato recipes in this ebook. You are guaranteed to find something that you're going to love. And once again, this book is also on sale for only $5 right now, and it normally retails for $16.99. So again, the link to that book and that sale will be posted in my description box below. So if you love potatoes like I do, but you're just not quite sure how to prepare them without all the extra stuff, then that recipe ebook has your name all over it. All right, so the next high fiber food I eat almost every single week are oats. Now, I just want to throw this out here that oats have literally been my last minute lifesaver. And what I mean by that is that oats are the one starchy food that I know I can depend on when I haven't properly prepared something, when I need to rush out the door quickly, when I'm too hungry to wait for something else to cook. I have always turned to oats. And I also want to throw this out here too, that oats are not just a breakfast food. I literally ate oats sometimes for breakfast, for lunch, and sometimes even for dinner, and I still do to this day. Oats are also incredibly versatile. I use them to make muffins, I use them to make wraps, I use them a lot to make oat flour, which is super easy. You just blend it up in your blender. You do not need to spend the money on oat flour at the grocery store. I use oats in so many different ways. And in fact, my next video I'm going to be putting out is how I currently am making my oatmeal. It has been an absolute game changer. There's only one negative thing that I would have to say about oats, but I do get into that in my next video. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed so that you don't miss that video as well, because this new oatmeal I make has literally changed the way that I feel about oatmeal now. Like, I'm not even kidding. And I think it's gonna change your perspective as well. So if you love oats too, then be sure to watch out for that video. You're not gonna wanna miss that one. All right, so before we jump into that next high fiber food, I've been dropping teasers all throughout this video, and that is that right now, all of my weight loss recipe ebooks are on sale for only $5. These are the exact high fiber, low fat recipes that I was eating to help me get 60 pounds off. So that's why I can be confident in saying that I know that they work. Lowering my fat and focusing on high fiber foods were the ticket to finally see the weight get off of me. And trust me when I say I have struggled all my life, so I know how challenging and frustrating it can be. So right now, take advantage of this $5 sale. I don't run it all the time, and it will only be on sale for the next 48 hours only. So all of my books, $5 a piece. The link will be found in my description box below, and if you stick to the end of this video, then there's going to be a bonus surprise at the end. All right, so the next high fiber food that I eat almost every single week is broccoli. I mean, it's one of the most filling veggies ever. It's high in fiber, low in calories, and super nutrient dense. It's just one of those foods that keep you satisfied without feeling too heavy. And for me, it's one of those foods that I rarely get sick of. I love me some steamed broccoli with a little bit of my cheese sauce, or sometimes if I'm feeling lazy, I just sprinkle nutritional yeast directly on it, a little bit of salt and pepper, and it is delicious just like that. It does not always have to be fancy to be good. All right, so the next high fiber food that I've been eating a ton of, even more recently so, are carrots. Now, I'm always a fan of carrots. It doesn't matter to me if they're cooked, if they're raw. Sometimes I even throw them in a shake. Like, carrots have always been a staple for me, but I've recently been eating them in kind of a weird way, but like, I am obsessed with eating them like this. So basically, I just chop up 1 or 2 carrots when I'm feeling like for something crunchy, you know, something savory and crunchy, and I eat them kind of like chips. I guess they're like carrot chips. So I just slice them up. I put a little bit of apple cider vinegar on it, put a little bit of salt, and that's it. Like, they're so delicious eaten like this. So this has really been a low calorie go-to snack that I've been making, especially when it's in the evening and I really don't want to eat anything heavy, or if it's on the weekend and I know my husband's gonna have his junk in front of me. I will already just like prep this little bowl of crunchy carrot chips or whatever we want to call them, and it has been a game changer for me. So I've been eating a ton of carrots every single week. I mean, carrots are just kind of an underrated snack if you ask me. They're crunchy, sweet, high in fiber, and just perfect when I want a little something that has a crunch, but without all the junk. All right, so the next high fiber food that I've actually been slightly obsessed with this season are apples. Oh my gosh, I don't know why. I literally don't know why, but I have been loving apples. Apples are usually my mid-afternoon lifesaver. You know, when you're just like feeling like you're crashing a little bit around 3-4 o'clock, they have been my go-to to pick me right back up. Despite them being sweet, they have a fiber in them called pectin, which actually helps to curb hunger and stabilize our blood sugars. And to add to that, sometimes I'll even sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top of them, which also helps to regulate blood sugars. And if I really have a sweet tooth, then I will pair that even with 1 or 2 dates on the side. So if you are like me and you have a sweet tooth, you love sugar, that snack hits it out of the park every time for me. Between the sweetness and the crunchiness and juiciness of the apple, paired with a couple of delicious soft caramel like dates, I mean, come on, nature has just been so sweet to us. All right, so the next high fiber food that I eat almost every single week are black beans and chickpeas. And in fact, they probably should have been much higher on this list. This list is in no particular order, by the way, but black beans and chickpeas are something I eat almost every single day. Forget every single week, almost every single day. And these are a classic high fiber staple in my home for good reason. Once again, they are so versatile. They are so high in both fiber and protein that it is just a no-brainer for me. And going back to those shakes that I had mentioned earlier before, I figured out how to get beans in my diet every single day without even having to think about it. Honestly, these shakes were a game changer. I drank them every single morning for breakfast. Because the beans are in those shakes, they actually keep me full for hours, like longer than any other food I can eat. The beans keep me full. Of course, they keep me really regular, which helps with any type of bloating and to keep my stomach feeling and looking flatter. And I would say one of the best things is that they actually help keep my cravings low. I don't really know how or why. I'm assuming it has something to do with regulating my blood sugar. But when I have beans, just a couple hours beforehand, I want for nothing. Like, I literally could care less about sugar, could care less about anything that might normally tempt me otherwise. But there's something magical about beans and lentils. Like, I could scream it from the mountaintops. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get your cravings under control, please do yourself a favor and increase your beans and lentils. So another super popular recipe ebook of mine is my first Shake Off the Weight ebook. So this one here doesn't include any lentils in the recipes. The Shake Off the Weight again too, the one that I showed you earlier in this video, that one includes both beans and lentils. But this is the original Shake Off the Weight book that started it all. And these were the classic recipes that I was drinking to help me get the 60 pounds off, which includes beans in all the shakes. This has been a top seller and is still going strong for good reason. Once people give these shakes a try, they are blown away with how delicious they taste, and most importantly, how you can't even taste the beans. Okay, so my favorite shake to date still that I drink almost every single day, I just had one just before starting to film this video, in fact, and that is my coffee crisp shake. Like, that one is hands down my absolute favorite one. And I'm not even a coffee drinker, so figure that one out. But I just love the way that it tastes with a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of coffee in there. It is absolutely delicious. And by the way, I use decaf, not regular, so it's literally just for the taste. It has nothing to even do with caffeine. However, you could use the caffeinated version if you want. But drinking these shakes have literally been the easiest way for me to get these beans in. So if you're interested in checking out the original version of Shake Off the Weight, that too is also included in the $5 sale. So again, the link to that sale and all of my ebooks will be found in my description box below. And now that doesn't mean that I only get my beans in through my shakes. I mean, one of those shakes alone have anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of fiber. Like, it's insane. But I absolutely sometimes will eat beans in a salad. Sometimes I'll eat them straight out of the Instant Pot. I'll throw them in soups. I make my salad dressings using them. There's lots of ways that I try to get beans in my diet because for me, I just think the more the better. Like, they have been that transformative in my life. So whether you're drinking my shakes or just eating them straight out of the can, that is totally up to you. But including more beans in your diet every single week is one of the best ways to get your fiber up. All right, so the next two high fiber foods I eat every single week, I'm actually just gonna clump them together for the sake of this video not being too long, and those are bananas and berries. Now, bananas are definitely my go-to for those shakes I was just talking about. I actually sometimes feel like I must look like a crazy lady at the grocery store because of how many bananas I buy. I know that I'm getting all the stares like, what is this lady doing with all of these bananas? It's one of those. But anyways, it is what it is. I use them all throughout the week for both my children and myself, primarily for those shakes. Now, I will say I also love having bananas around just for a quick, snack on the go. For me, it is like Mother Nature's perfect to-go snack. It's already wrapped, packaged, ready to go. I absolutely love it. They're just perfect. And not only do they have fiber in them, but they also have resistant starch, which feeds the good gut bacteria. And next are berries. And again, I feel like that's a no-brainer. Berries are so good for us. And when it comes to fiber specifically, raspberries take the cake. They, I think, are about 8 grams of fiber per 1 cup of raspberries. That's insane. Because I could probably eat 3 or 4 cups of raspberries and not even blink an eye. They're that easy to eat and that delicious to eat. So whether it's strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, I eat them all. And oftentimes I will simply just defrost them and eat them straight out of the bowl as a snack. I also love using them in green smoothies, which, by the way, I do have a video, I think, somewhere where I showed my absolute favorite green smoothie ever. There's a secret ingredient in that shake too that you'll have to watch the video to find out, but it makes all of my green smoothies taste absolutely incredible. I will have that video also posted in my description box below. But getting back to berries, they're high in fiber, super low in calories, and perfect if you have a sweet tooth. And lastly, speaking of green smoothies, my last high fiber food that I always have every single week are my leafy greens. So those are things like kale, romaine lettuce, spinach. I have one or all of them in my fridge at all times. They are pretty high in fiber considering how low they are in calories, and I try to add them wherever I can. So whether it be a delicious green smoothie or throwing some into a soup or sauteing them into a stir fry or just eating them as a salad, I literally try to sneak them in however I can get them in. Leafy greens are an excellent nutrient-dense, low-calorie, non-starchy food that everyone should be trying to increase in their diet. All right, guys, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope the video wasn't too long, but we did make it through my top 10 high fiber foods that I try to eat almost every single week. I also wanna say that it's not necessary to eat all of the 10 foods that I was suggesting today in order to increase your fiber. Even if you only picked 2 or 3 things off of that list and tried to focus on increasing those things even a little bit every single week, you're going to feel a difference. So while protein plays a huge part in a healthy diet as well, and I have nothing negative to say about that, I'm telling you, fiber is underrated and it's coming. It's going to be all the rage. I can just feel it in my bones. So let's be ahead of the game, get our fiber up. And once again, if you need help doing that, don't forget to check out my awesome book sale. It will only be running for the next 48 hours only. So please try to take advantage of it while it is on sale. Between my shake book, Shake Off the Weight Again, as well as Spud Skinny and my other weight loss recipe ebooks, you are guaranteed to find some delicious, low-fat, high-fiber foods that you are going to love. So all my books are on sale right now for $5 for the next 48 hours. Link can be found in the description box below. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as I'd love to have you stick around. And as promised, if you've made it to the end of this video with me, then the first 5 people that go click the link to that amazing $5 sale will be getting a copy of my newest book, Shake Off the Weight Again, for free. So you can go ahead and try out those bean and lentil shakes. Once again, the link can be found in the description box below. And as for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you guys in the next one.